civilization and violence are antithetical concepts. Negroes of the United States, following the people of India, have demonstrated that nonviolence is not sterile passivity, but a powerful moral force which makes for social transformation. Sooner or later, all the peoples of the world will have to discover a way to live together in peace and thereby transform this pending cosmic elegy into a creative psalm of brotherhood. If this is to be achieved, man must evolve for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation of such a method is love.
All right, welcome everyone to another great episode of Breaking Bread with Velo Voyage. I'm going to be joining all the hosts in for a great episode today. We have a great celebration. Today we are celebrating not only Valentine's Day, and we're in the latter part of the Lunar New Year, but we're also celebrating something that is very important to us here at Breaking Bread, and that's celebrating Black History. Black History Month. We have 5 ambassadors that are going to be joining us today. 2 are actually trying to get on as we speak. So we hope that they can join us. But then we have a great load of topics that we're going to share with you, that these ambassadors are going to share with you. These ambassadors are coming from all over the country and all diversifying their own different entities. They're not all in the same entity, which is really cool, and how we could all break bread together and have this conversation together. And that's one thing that we are excited about, being included into this conversation today and the celebration. So how are you ladies doing? Happy Monday. Happy Valentine's Day. How is everybody doing? Yes.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes. What a crazy
of love.
Yeah, what a crazy weekend, and with the Super Bowl and all. For those of you that wanted the Rams, go Rams. Those of you that wanted Cincinnati, they'll be back. You can definitely tell they're a young, vibrant, and vivacious team. They're going to be back. You can definitely tell. And so one of the big things too, I'm so sad that our other host, Alex, couldn't be here. Him and his wife are isolating right now from COVID.
Alex.
So we hope that they get well. I hope they can get well and take care of themselves. But one of the things that Alex and I have joined in a conversation more recently was the Olympics. We were very much into curling and all the other sports. But one of the great historical things, especially since we are celebrating Black History, is the first. If you're talking about the first woman since Bonnie Blair, and I think in the 90s, but this was actually an amazing feat because it was actually the Erin Jackson from the U.S. actually won the first gold medal since Bonnie Blair, and she became the first Black woman to actually do that in the 500 meters. So I got to give Erin Jackson loads of props. And for the U.S., that is huge.
That's dedication.
And she's a demon. And the killer story about Erin Jackson, too, is she just jumped on the ice 5 years ago. So this is, if you're talking about a wheel that you could do anything that you set your mind to. Erin Jackson just proved it to all of us. And she is, and one of the things that I really loved about it, and what she said in her commentary after they interviewed her, after she received her Olympic medal, was she just said, I hope more people like me can get out there. Now they see what I could do. I'm just encouraging that. And that is huge, especially for, if we're talking about advocating for women all women in general in sports. That is a huge thing that we support here at Breaking Bread is women in sports and women in all entities. So that is, a huge feat, and we're so excited for Erin. So thank you. Congratulations, Erin Jackson. And we're excited about this show. So without further ado, we're going to bring on our guest. But as we set a precedence starting our last episode, we are going to take a time to reset and reflect. I know all of us, a lot of times, especially coming off the weekend, we want to kind of detox, reset, reflect, and get our game on for the upcoming week, since this is Monday. So Guylaine is going to lead us into a little bit of time to sit in silence, and she'll go with that with us. So Guylaine, go ahead and take it away.
Okay. Hi, y'all. Happy Monday. Happy Valentine's Day. Thanks for joining us on this awesome podcast. And like Corey said, this weekend just was like extra charged. Everybody had this incredible extra vibration. And that's where it's important to kind of just say, okay, I got to reset my system. So the best way to reset your system is breath. And breath is our key trigger. So we're going to take a breath and we're going to breathe in our nose for 8 seconds. And then we're going to hold it for 8. And then we're going to exhale for 8. So are you ready? 1, 2, 3, let's go. And right there, if you could just feel that little glitter and the vibrations, your body's going, thank you. And now we're ready to rock and roll. Let's
Absolutely.
Go, Corey.
Yes. So I'm excited to bring our guest on, all from across this country, this wonderful, beautiful country of ours. I'm going to bring them on one at a time. Hello, Matt.
Hello.
Hello, Shanatia. Hi. And Jamika. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome, everyone. I know we're gonna be joined by Jennifer hopefully soon, and Peggy. It's wonderful to share the screen with you all and break bread with you all. How's everybody's week going? Shamika, you want to start? Jamika, you want to start first?
Shamika.
Sure. Shamika, yes. My name is going to be the Achilles heel for today, but that is all good. It is all right. I am doing well. I am hailing here from Charlotte, North Carolina. So I am, Southern Belle in the building.
Yes.
I'm doing well. I'm happy to be here. It is Love Day and it's Black History Month. So I'm kind of thrilled.
Absolutely. Bravo. I love it. And Shanatia, how you doing?
We're doing great. We're doing Happy Monday. Happy Valentine's Day.
I like that breath that Sean took. He looked at you like,
it's Valentine's Day. I'm making sure everything's okay.
Absolutely. That's great. And where are you hailing from, Sean and Tia?
We're out of Lexington, Kentucky. So
awesome.
Southern in the South.
All right. And then we got our buddy Matt here. Matt, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you guys for having me. And it's Elaine, right? Or Elaine?
Guylaine.
Guylaine.
Another Achilles heel on the show. Jamika.
That 8 seconds of breathing right there, I need to start using that before my bike rides. I really like it.
Yeah.
But I am tuning in from from Maryland, right outside of DC, the Mid-Atlantic region. So I'm going to bring you guys some East Coast vibes. Really great weekend, really great start to the week for me as well. Anytime I can get out on my bike, it's always a pleasure. So happy to be here.
Isn't it? We talk about breath of life, and one of the things that I love with your reels and what you share, Matt, is being out on the bike, showing you out on the bike. And I cringe sometimes because it's like, I want to get out there too. And being here in the Pacific Northwest where it's rain, it's like, okay, I have to ride my trainer today. I have to be indoors. But it's great to see that. Very motivating. So I dig those reels. I love it. And I just wanted to, we are starting this new format where we're bringing everybody in together, sharing the screen all together. That's what we want to do and create. It's actually creating more of a community vibe. We want to, especially when we're all from different entities, different sectors, and really kind of jumping in and kind of getting to know one another. That's how we build stronger communities, is by reaching out over to the other side and going, hey, I want to know more. And that's the one thing that my goal is today, is to learn more about all of you and get more of an appreciation, because I really dig all of you and what you do, especially Sean and Tia. If I'm not on my bike, I have a 3-year-old, so I definitely need my bottle of fresh. This is my bottle. And, I sat with Sean and Tia last spring, and I was on the phone call with Sean, and it was hilarious because I go, hey Sean, if it's a possibility to send a sample, and he goes, oh yeah, no problem. So I was expecting like a little, like one of those refrigerator things that you get in hotels of, like, samples of the bourbon. I get a full blown container,
Wow.
and I was like, now this is legit. Now I
Yeah.
love this bottle, and I love
pretty.
the graphics on the bottle, and you can definitely see the styling between Sean and Tia in that bottle. It is so stylish, and it's like, this has got to be a centerpiece for any holiday, any occasion. Just put the bottle out. It is, and it's a conversational piece. Besides Matt's bike in the background, I love that. I love having centerpieces, great conversational pieces, but that is what Fresh does. So I love the bourbon, absolutely delicious. And so, okay, so let me go here. I'm gonna go. I hit the one thing is, okay, for everybody that is watching. My computer, I have a PC, and now I'm using my wife's Mac. So for some reason, if I hit a wrong button, please forgive me. But Jamaica, I'm getting your name down. Okay. uh, you know, on the end of, we have cycling, we have bourbon, and now we have the stylish vegan. So what is it like as far as the vegan community? What is your favorite thing right now, especially celebrating Valentine's Day? What is your favorite vegan go-to, like, that you gotta like spread the love with?
Oh my. I mean, there's so many, right? Because first of all, I have to say pasta is my love language, but we're not going to talk about that right now, because I did come off of all of January. I want everybody to know that I didn't do any carbs or any caffeine or any alcohol for all of January. Now, as soon as February 1st hit, I did pollute my body with lots of carbs and lots of alcohol. Well, not, yeah, lots of, and all of that. But,
I would have too.
I mean, sometimes you just got to do it, right? You just got to do it. No, but to answer your question, I've been vegan since birth, right? So it's one of those things. I feel like a unicorn, but there are those of us out here, and I think, oh gosh, what do I like the best? This is the question.
I put you on the hot seat.
You did. So yesterday, I treated myself to cinnamon rolls.
Oh, yeah.
Like loaded cinnamon rolls with like lots of berries and the vegan whipped cream. I got it from Cinnaholic, which is a plant-based company, and all of their gourmet cinnamon rolls are all vegan. Everything in the whole store. So I paid a little bit too much. I got the Uber Eats. I was like, come bring it to me. Bring it to me right now. And the way that I indulged was almost criminal. It really was. It was criminal, but it was so good.
One of, if I were to talk about my guilty pleasures, when I worked for Trader Joe's, for about 12 years, almost 13 years. And I was sent to open a store up in Northern California. and I found this little coffee shop. And Matt, you would appreciate this because this coffee shop, this little cafe, brought in their own coffee beans, and they made their own pastries, and they did vegan cinnamon rolls. And that was where we started our club ride from. So every Saturday, it was my sacrifice to have that gigantic vegan cinnamon roll with a nice cup of coffee. And the one thing that they did that was amazing too, if you dig tea, they did loose leaf tea in a French press.
Oh.
And so you got this, you got all this really nice flavors with this scrumptious, devouring thing that you're going like, oh my gosh, am I really going to do this? But I'm riding 40, 50, 60 miles. I can sacrifice this. So I loved digging that. I love club rides. Matt, do you have any places where you start a ride from that you have one of those little decadent little places that you go to?
Typically, I like to start from the house. I don't even like to drive the car anymore. If I can hop on my bike and make it anywhere. So, I mean, if you want to consider the kitchen my cafe, for sure, we can definitely start.
But party at Matt's. There's a party at Matt's.
But the beautiful thing is where the shop is actually going to be located. We're next to a tropical smoothie right off the entrance of a trail. So I think a good smoothie would make a wonderful, whether it's a pit stop or even a starting point for a lot of our future riders.
Awesome. And so with that, if we're talking about I call her the queen of wine pairing. And if you haven't followed her, I'm going to bring her on, Miss Peggy from Urban Booze. How you doing, Peggy? How you doing?
Busy today. Busy. Hey, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. But Peggy, if you haven't followed Peggy on her Instagram, her IG page, Urban Booze, she does she changes the whole configuration of traditional wine pairing, and she uses anything from Girl Scout cookies to holiday cookies to even Taco Bell to Burger King to your local McDonald's. She will pare it down, and how she does it is pretty incredible. And I love Peggy. We sat with Peggy just a few months ago, and we brought her back for the celebration. I couldn't think of another person that we would want to share the screen with besides you all. So thank you, Peggy, for joining us today. Your personality is contagious. I love her smile. It describes everything that you pair.
Yeah, you know what? I am the off the beaten path kind of girl. First of all, after hearing about all the cycling, I'm like, oh, I guess I need to knock the dust off my Peloton. I mean, I know. Don't come for me, but that's as far as I go with cycling. But because I'm in New York, I'm scared to go on the streets with a bicycle. But yeah, I mean, I'm all about demystifying tradition. I'm gonna buck a trend wherever I could find it. And in all honesty, I see the bourbon people. While I don't drink bourbon, I will cook with it for sure. I made a pound cake, and then I infused it with. I did like a bourbon glaze, and I put it on top, and then I put holes in a pound cake and I put it in there. Just a regular old grandma's pound cake, and I just kind of zhuzhed it up because someone gave me bourbon. And I'm like, what am I gonna do with it?
That sounds pretty delicious.
Sounds great.
So Peggy, I got to bring out the bottle again. So here's the bottle of this, isn't it? And look at how sexy that is.
Oh God, that is sexy. Is it in New York? Can I find it in New York?
Not yet, but we will be soon. But not yet. It will be this year, but not yet.
I'll tell you, Peggy. This is something I know you like to cook with it, but you will be sipping on it too.
Really?
Oh yeah, it is smooth. It is lovely. I love it.
Because bourbon and whiskey are a little too rich for my soul, but this is my way of slowly eking myself into getting a glass. But please call my girl Sunshine at Happy Cork in Brooklyn. She is the purveyor of all Black-owned spirits. That's my go-to place. That's where I can find everything. She carries everything. Sunshine is Happy Cork, Brooklyn.
And Peggy, don't forget, you could type that if you want to type that in the
Oh, I
chat.
can?
Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
that'd be
type
great.
that,
That'd be great.
and you can type that, and you can give them all the information.
Look,
And just for all of you out there that are joining us too, if you're coming from Facebook or YouTube, you could write a comment, ask questions. We love for you to participate in our program today. We have 4 wonderful ambassadors. We are trying to hopefully get Jennifer on. Jennifer is actually, she is, I don't know if any of you know who Jennifer McDonald is, but if you want to talk about history, we just talked about Erin Jackson from the U.S. Olympic team and the 500-meter speed skating. Jennifer McDonald set another precedent in Wichita, Kansas, being the first Black woman to have a winery in Wichita, Kansas. And her wines speak volumes, and it's under Jenny Dawn Cellars. So you can follow her at Jenny Dawn Cellars. And a lot of her
Nice.
wines, because it is in Wichita, Kansas, is fruit-based. It's all made from fruit. A lot of times we can't, because a lot of grapes are not native to that particular soil or that particular climate. So she uses a lot of fruit-based wines, and they're absolutely delicious. If you can go ahead and log on her, follow her and support her. That's Jennifer McDonald at Jenny Dawn Cellars. And she's actually hosting, and what was one of the conversations that we had about having her come on to the show today was she's actually hosting a wine event, a Valentine's Day event today. So hopefully we could have her on even for a few minutes because she's a real joy, a real gem, like all of you. So again, we thank all of you for joining us. And so all of you have all of you have particular entities. And one of the things that we want to share, especially Jamaica, you have with vegan, being in the vegan industry. How is it, one of the things that we talk with Angela is also specializing in the vegan education, vegan diet, as well as I've fallen into that since about 2006. I've been practicing a vegetarian diet throughout my years, especially when I got competitively into cycling. But how is it being in the vegan industry? And what is the exciting thing that you're seeing right now as far as the vegan world? And even with women ambassadors, if we're talking about women ambassadors in the industry, what is the exciting thing that you're seeing, that you're hearing about?
I think for me, just in general, seeing how veganism is now seen as more, well, at least it's getting more mainstream. You're hearing about it on, like, now my ears perk up when I'm watching certain television shows and movies and I hear vegan, and it, the characters can be vegan or whatever. And it's not as stigmatized as it was when I was growing up. As I stated before, I've been vegan since birth, and I'm not a spring chicken exactly. So I've been around for 45 years. So when I was born late 70s, this was not a thing, not for everybody, especially growing up in the South, growing up Black in the South and trying to say, you're not going to eat meat? What? People were looking at my mom and dad like they had lost their ever-loving minds. So, and that's just like being really real with it, right? So the thing that I have seen the most is just seeing all of the products that have happened, like that have just like, y'all don't understand what it's like being able to go to the grocery store now and being able to pick up products that I would have had to have made from scratch.
Right.
Like you couldn't just see bread just in the store, that you weren't just seeing like,
right.
I'm in awe seeing even the junk food type stuff, right? Which in moderation it's fine, but it's just amazing to me that I can go and get, there's a vegan French toast that's frozen and now I can have it. Like, this is amazing to me. There was always things that were like accidentally vegan, but seeing that is just, it's a beautiful thing. And I always tell these young folks coming up, I'm like, see, y'all don't understand the struggle. You don't know. You don't know. whatever. You could just go in and like, oh, I can go to McDonald's and have something. I was like, no, that is not what that's like. But I would say, like, I love seeing the diversity of veganism. So, you know, it was a misnomer early on that like veganism was all about, you know, the stereotype was like skinny white people from California, right? Which is so not the truth, because so many indigenous people live plant-based lifestyles. It's just it wasn't promoted and it wasn't shown. People just don't know the history. And so just kind of seeing that evolve and seeing how like Black vegan culture has like, the light has been shined on it and people are really embracing, like, I'm not sure of the exact statistics, but I think it's like 8% of African Americans are now vegan or living a plant-based lifestyle. And that's huge, because considering, you know, just like the background of food and what's been promoted and food deserts and all of these different things, you would not think that that would be something, but we are really embracing a more healthier lifestyle. And, you know, there's still some, I think what I enjoy most, like I said before, is the diversity, because you have people who are in it just for the animals. You have it for people who are just for health. You have it for people who are like, you know, the environment. For me, it's all encompassing. It's just about living a more compassionate lifestyle. So I'm not sure if I answered the question. I rambled a little bit because I was thinking about the bourbon. And so I got a little sidetracked because I'm like, ooh, I can make a vegan pound cake with the bourbon glaze, with the So hopefully I answered the question.
Awesome. No, it was, you couldn't answer it better. You know, and that's the thing. I think the vegan culture, I think how it's becoming more diversifying. People are able to reach it. And I just saw an article saying that now they're trying to get the vegan products more affordable. It's going to, in the next few years, it's going to be lower than animal products, which is really the battle that a lot of us have. Is, you know, a lot of us can't afford a lot of the natural stuff, so we go to the processed stuff. So if it eventually becomes, a lot of the plant-based stuff becomes more affordable, I think it's going to be more attractive, especially if you're talking about health benefits, you know, and just environmental benefits.
And I will say it is an education thing, because I grew up in very meager means. Okay. So like when we were growing up, all you had was going to the grocery store and getting produce and legumes and rice and beans and all this kind of stuff and figuring it out. So I think that the stereotype is that veganism is more expensive. It's not necessarily more expensive, it's how you shop. So like if you're just shopping, you know, all of the processed stuff and ready to eat things and not cooking from scratch, then that's gonna go up there a little bit. But to your point, yes, please make things more cheaper. And I need that, because my grocery bill right now, not cute.
Well, did you want to chime in, Angela, on that?
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing about that, Jamika, because I'm very, very fascinated about somebody who's done this for so long. And I started this journey myself. I went totally vegan 1 year ago, but I was plant-based for a while. Yeah, it was awesome. And I think it's an interesting question as to like how people get started, why people get started. And for me, it started with health, but it kept me in it and it got me committed for the ethical reasons. You know, that's what really cemented it for me and went to my heart, you know. And once you do that, I think there's no going back. You know, it's kind of like when you know, and you know that it's better for you, you know, it's better for the world. And with the pandemic, like how we could heal everybody a lot faster, a lot better. It's better for the animals, it's better for the environment. It's just so many things that pull together, you know. So I'm just really inspired by you and everybody who's willing to be open-hearted and open-minded to this. It's really amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, the open-mindedness is key, because I have a lot of friends who are not vegan, but they are open and they don't have the judgment. And I love that.
Yes, and I love the celebrities that are stepping up, bringing it to a bigger platform, and really showing that it's not this taboo, weird thing in the land of fruits and nuts. You know, it's not.
Right. Yeah,
It's
right.
really, really beneficial to so many people and very natural to so many people. I mean, it is a natural thing. Everybody loves pasta. Everybody loves potatoes. Everybody thrives on, you know, fruits and yeah, vegetables. We need more greens in our life. We need more, you know, natural foods in our life, and beans, which are a staple for all of the blue zones in the world, of the longest living people in the world. You know, beans is like the one common denominator between them all. So, you know, it's cheap, it's healthy, and it could save the world, literally. Like beef to beans, just go from beef to beans. No problems with protein or zinc or any of that. Just go for it. Like, even if it's one day a week, even if it's one meal a week.
Yeah.
So yeah, a very powerful way to get started.
I
ahead,
just want
Jen.
to chime in because I feel I never really did the vegan thing till recently because of what's going on in our world with the virus, and our microbiomes in our stomach and our immune system actually run better with less animal protein. You know, and like the people that do need it, you know, moderation for it, but literally your body needs to run at the most optimal, just like your bike. If you're riding your bike, you want your tires to be good. You're driving your car. We are our vessel, and our microbiomes feed off all the stuff we put in there. So we're going to put crap, then we're going to feel that crap. But that's a good point. Both of you ladies are putting up, like, we need to feed our garden in our base of our stomach lining. And I think the vegan, with everything going on in the world and everything altered, is probably the most safest diet, to be honest.
Yeah, you know, and this is I love the conversation, and this is kind of leading me to all of you into this chat, because what's happening now in the world is, you know, we're trying to do things that are benefiting our neighbor, our brother, our sister, our friends, and so by doing something like this particular if we do plant-based diets, vegan diets, or just becoming not necessarily a diet. I don't like saying diet. I say vegan lifestyle. If we just follow it and we just live it, I think even with, I wanted to ask Sean and Tia and even Peggy on wines that now are becoming more environmentally biodynamic, more organic as far as the soils, even as far as spirits. What are spirits? You know, people are having more conscientious efforts as far as what they can bring to the environment. I know a lot of wineries are scrapping their fields and actually creating all biodynamic. So I'm wondering if that's coming off your end too, but also with Matt, I think it's also important when we talk about everything, putting it all together. How can we utilize that in our everyday life? How can we move? How can we get out and move? And that was one of the things that my family and I decided when we got in the midst of this pandemic, is we're going to do this as a family unit to get out and move together, so we don't have to just stay isolated. We're going to get out, breathe some fresh air, take walks, take runs, take bike rides, because that was our only other outlet. So I wanted to have everybody chime in. So let's start with Peggy. Peggy, what do you think as far as on your end, as far as the wine, and do you see anything, or do you feel like that is going to be the next big denominator in the wine industry?
Absolutely. In fact, I got approached by a young lady who said she was vegan and she wanted to connect me with a wine that's vegan. And this was in the midst of the pandemic, though. She wanted to do a tasting with a vegan chef and do tastings with vegan wine to, again, demystifying. The only difference with wine is that they're not using, you know, obviously the animal manure to fertilize it. And I thought that was an excellent idea, because everyone, at least on the East Coast, is a little harder for us to kind of embrace. We have the crazy weather. Food is comfort. You know, when it's cold, you don't want to eat. You want to, you know, have robust food. But I thought it was really interesting that I got approached by it. And we're still trying to do something now this year, you know, where there is a tasting where I can invite a group of people, friends, followers, etc., to kind of have them taste the wine and say, this is vegan. Because some are passive about it, but some are a little bit more forward, asking me, do I know of any vegan wine? So now when I go to my wine purveyor, so I will ask, like, do you have vegan wine? Do you have a section? So it is certainly starting to be a movement. People are very, very conscientious about what they're eating. Probably, I'm thinking it's more health reasons because I have a little bit of an older crowd, the grown and sexy crowd. And, so grown and sexy now is like, we want to stay sexy. What can we do to keep the body right? And we can still indulge. So it is a trend.
I like that. Shadatia, what about you? Have you seen anything coming as far as your approach? Seeing anything coming as far as the grains and everything that you're using for like spirits and bourbons and things like that? Anything going to be more on the environmentally side, more conscientious?
I think that, especially because we're in Kentucky, so water is a big part of why our bourbon tastes a lot better than other places. I was telling my friend. No, it's just the truth. I mean, like, it's horses run faster. That's why we're known for, the Derby. They run the grass that grows, the limestone that is filtered. The water makes for good bourbon, fast, and eventually probably very good cannabis. Because back in the day, Kentucky was known for probably the best marijuana around, but it's not legal here. So, but eventually, I guess they'll break that down. But the water, it is about the water, and everybody's focused here because it is such a big integral part of everything of two major industries in Kentucky. So there's a lot to that. Now, speaking to the vegan point, we are not there yet, but we do support. And I have a friend of mine who just opened a fantastic vegan restaurant, social vegan here in Lexington, and it is excellent. I mean, it is like very good. I mean, very, very good. He's opening one in Tallahassee too in the next couple of months. But fortunately for us, bourbon is vegan, so hey, we
like it, and it is fresh. I like that.
Listen, I'm scheming on my sample bottle. I'm just telling you right now. Like, I'm putting it out there right now. My birthday's in April. I know some people. I'm just saying. Okay.
What did I do?
My wedding anniversary is in April. I'll use that as a reason to ask.
I'm an April baby too, so we got
an April. And it's amazing about the water. You brought up that because my best friend moved from the Bay Area to Louisville, Kentucky. She has family there, and she met her husband there, and he's from there. And we visited, and I was like, everything is so green, like raining and everything. Like, you don't even need sprinklers. He's like, what is sprinklers? He didn't even know what sprinklers was. I'm like, I'm from the drought area of the world, so I grew up saving water. You guys don't even know. But we do apparently have good weed, I guess. But
like, literally where we live at is called the bluegrass region because the grass grows, and when you look at it a certain way, it looks blue.
Wow.
Awesome. That is so cool.
Beautiful.
I've heard of that as a musical style. I didn't know it literally meant from the plant itself,
Oh, yeah, it's literally, if you look at the grass, if you look at it at a certain angle, it looks blue.
That's beautiful. How unique.
That's something I definitely got to see. Especially when you're on a bike. That is when we're talking, Matt, when we're talking about being on the bike. One of the things I always say to people, and I learned this from a book I read, is you never really get to see what you see in a car when you're on a bike or when you're running. That's why so many people do these type of particular sports, is because the freedoms that you have and the luxuries that you have, when you don't realize it, take a stop and look around at what we have. And that's one of the most beautiful things that I really enjoy about Matt and his content that he provides. What about you, Matt? I mean, do you see anything as far as even the cycling world, what we're trying to do in the cycling world environmentally, even with, if you're talking about bike products and things like that? Do you see more of that happening? The oils that we use, the things that we use to clean our bikes, and everything that goes along with the bike componentry. Do you see anything filtering to that, like more environmentally?
Uh, that's an awesome question. I wish I had, some more insight from the manufacturing perspective. But I know that it is moving a lot more towards the electronic base, at least with our pro riders, right? So our pro cyclists, they're looking at more electronic, which I don't necessarily think would be more environmentally friendly. However, there's a number of, for instance, there's a company called Bike Trash DC. And what they actually do is they recycle a lot of the products. So your inner tubes, they recycle for a number of other reasons. So there's a lot of our parts and products, bike related, that can actually be recycled. So it's more about bringing awareness to those types of things that we can actually recycle, reuse, repurpose. I do see that becoming more of a trend. But from a pollution perspective, that's one of the main reasons why we encourage cycling so much, right? And you mentioned it, people get to see so much more of the world. They say a cyclist actually gets to see about 70% more of his backyard environment than the average person. So, we promote bike to work day. We promote bike to the grocery store, less vehicles on the road, less accidents, and that's one thing we really push for our students too. I got a car at 15 and 9 months and I was ecstatic. I wish I'd have taken another 3-4 years to just ride my bike. It would have saved me on gas. It would have saved me on some speeding tickets and possibly some car accidents. So we look at cycling as a way to kind of reduce some of the population from that perspective, though.
Absolutely. Reducing the carbon footprint. And, I see that even here. I volunteer with the mayor of my city. I just started working alongside the mayor with their bicycle advisory committee. And one of the things that the Pacific Northwest does really well is just keeping things in mind of families and everybody just getting out and moving, providing trails and resources that are good for your not just physical health or mental health. It's providing outlets, and it's actually doing something that they do. So it's for the environment as well, because what you're doing is you're not getting in your cars like you were saying, Matt. You're getting on your bikes. You're going on these trails. You're walking. You're running. You're riding. You're scootering, and that is one of the greatest things to see is as far as the environmental part. And that's one of the things I was going to mention to you. And all of you do something that is very important, and providing an outlet. You provide resources. You provide content that gives people opportunity to go, oh, I could try this vegan dish. She just shared this vegan dish, and I never thought I could do something like that. And that is great. Same thing with what Peggy does with her pairings. It's all that different out of the box style content that you're providing. You're going, hey, be normal, have fun with wine. It's not necessarily, you don't have to drive this type of car or make this type of money to actually understand how to pair wine. It is very simplified when you actually talk about wine in general. And what all of you do, even what Matt does, I love what you do with the hot seat, your YouTube channel. If you don't follow Matt, you should follow Matt. He's got a YouTube channel too. He has 2 different profiles. He has one is like under Matt, and then the Ajafe cycling. And it is absolutely great because he does little reels to give you like tips on how to maintain your bike. But again, it's all providing something that is doing something, paying it forward, giving awareness, providing positive content. And again, with Sean and Tia, I can't just, here's a beautiful bottle that you could have on your kitchen table for the holidays. I did the worst thing by saying that example that you sent me that, because now everybody's going to go, hey, I'm your best friend too, Sean and Tia. Can you send me a sample of your bourbon? I'll tell you one thing though. I've been a fan of bourbon. That's one of my other pleasures, guilty pleasures, besides wine and cycling and my family, is I love bourbon, a good bourbon. And when I tasted this, I was like, oh man, this is dangerous. I'm gonna keep it at bay because it is
Corey,
so
you need
good.
to go to Kentucky.
It is so good. You guys, you gotta.
I have a confession. I have
What?
never tasted bourbon out of my almost 52 years of my life.
Then you got to try this. You got to try this.
What?
You gotta try it.
Wow.
I think we should all get
I've
on our
just
social
never been
media and do like a cheers of their bourbon. Like,
Absolutely. Yeah, we could do that for you. Let's all do that. You got to send us all small samples. I got my sample. Or maybe I'll just send everybody a sample.
It'd be good to taste it because, you know, bourbon is America's native spirit. So
Yeah.
just so, you know, like Scotch is to Scotland and, you know, tequila is to Mexico. That's what bourbon is to, you know, the United States. So
For me though, the sugar, I'm allergic to sugar. So any alcohol, wine.
yeah.
That's why when they said a
it's
big
corn
tea
based,
press,
I think, right?
Yeah.
It's corn based?
It's corn based.
Corn based, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's very American because we had so much corn that we could grow here in America. That was just a natural, you know, side effect of that. And yeah, maybe one of these days you can try a little bit, but yeah, I know, be careful with that, yeah.
I volunteer as tribute. And I can take that for you, and I'll tell you exactly how it tastes and everything.
I love that.
Just know that.
The bourbon game.
Exactly.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I dig this conversation. I love this conversation. So let's move on to guilty pleasures. Okay, we're talking about Valentine's Day. We're talking about celebrations that we're doing amongst family and friends and our loved ones. But what are some of your guilty pleasures? And we're going to start with Matt. Matt, what is your favorite guilty pleasure? Because it could be anything. You know, what is your guilty pleasure? I put you on the spot.
You definitely did, and I feel bad because we've got some vegan and some vegan representatives here, so this is not going to make you guys happy at all.
It's all right.
We've heard it all. Don't worry.
Don't be ashamed. Go for it. Go for it.
Okay. So I'm really with you guys because what we put in our bodies is really everything, especially as a cyclist. I completely understand that what I put into my body is literally how I perform out on the bike. So it's really important that I monitor that closely. However, I do have this one guilty pleasure of actually taking a chicken breast, like a tenderloin, actually putting it on the fryer, go ahead and frying, taking two, this sounds horrible, two glazed donuts. I'll take I will add lettuce, tomato, and I will have a little bit of ketchup on, just a small amount of ketchup. And I make, yes, that was beautiful.
You do know I'm doing this the vegan version, right? I'm doing my vegan version of this. There's vegan everything nowadays, so I can do a vegan version of that.
I get my car.
I'm gonna have to try it.
You can try with a black bean burger, Angela.
Yeah. Let's do the vegan version ASAP. I need to try this. Yeah, I love vegan donuts, by the way. They're super good.
Yes.
So the homemade donut chicken sandwich for me, that is by far my most favorite guilty pleasure. But I do get a lot of nutrients. There's protein. I got some vegetables in there, some carbs. So
carbs, a lot of carbs.
Love the carbs. Love the carbs.
Absolutely.
That's mine.
What about you, Peggy? What is your guilty pleasure?
Wow, anything in abundance is a guilty pleasure, but but I have to lean on carbs. You know, my guilty pleasure is mac and cheese. Look, my mom's from Memphis. So yeah, but I will say that I actually, a guilty pleasure has been like pasta primavera. It's crazy, you know, talking to vegans, and I just it's just the creaminess of it all. Of course, I have to find a vegan, alternative, because I have been thinking that way because my body's been responding lately better to things that have been vegan. But yeah, the creamy pasta, cheesy, that's a guilty pleasure.
Oh, I grew up on that too. Yeah, love it.
I got some recipes for you.
There you go. Yeah.
And of course, my pound cakes that I've been making. I made a Coquito pound cake. You know, well with my whiskey pound cakes, like those two things, those are so very decadent.
You need this to top it off right here.
Yeah.
And just for saying the
this bottle's just gonna keep on floating by every time.
it's there, you know.
I love that commercial.
I love all of this. Let me just tell y'all that I once made a rum cake that got the whole house drunk because
I love it.
that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Since we got Jamaica on, look at that.
You were doing so well.
I
too.
think I'm having too much of this. I'm secretly having too much of this.
Happening.
What did you do? What is your guilty pleasure?
Other than the cinnamon rolls, all pasta and caffeine, a really good. I love lattes. I have a tendency to like, y'all, just the creaminess of the milk. You know, I do an almond milk now. I used to do soy, but I've been trying to do almond and oat, and the creaminess of it with the froth, and then the espresso, and
oat is the best. I love oat.
Oh,
milk.
it's just, you know, it's almost it's Valentine's Day. I can say this. It's almost orgasmic when you just like take that first sip. Yeah, that's the reason why I'm a caffeine addict. I admit it. Like, I am not a good vegan, y'all. I swear, I'm just like, give me all the unhealthy stuff. Where's the alcohol? Where's the champagne? Champagne is also a guilty pleasure because it's my favorite alcoholic drink.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And Sean and Tia, what is your guilty pleasure?
So mine is really not food, and Sean was just laughing at me. My guilty pleasure is reality TV. Yeah. I love loving hip hop. I love all the housewife shows on Bravo. I love Tampa, selling Tampa. Reality TV is my guilty pleasure, and I make him binge watch with me sometimes.
Oh no. I feel embarrassed when I see reality TV. I feel so bad for them.
It's entertaining.
Oh
it's very entertaining. So I thoroughly enjoy it.
Oh,
and
man.
the fashion is good. Some of the
and what about for you, Sean?
My guilty pleasure, donuts. I mean, like, that's my favorite food. And I'll stop. I'll drive on the highway if I see a donut. I'll stop. If it's unique or new, I'm always searching for the best donut. The best donut are the best chicken and waffle. So like, I'm I guess a nationwide search for that. So
you know what? Speaking of chicken and waffles, I used to go to this place when I lived in California. It was called the Vegan Joint, and it was near Santa Monica, Venice. And they did every Saturday, they would do vegan chicken and waffles. And it was the most amazing, just, if you're talking about scrumptious thing that I could eat, and I would have the extra chicken too. I would just be like devouring it. You know, it was just so good. But I dig that. The chicken and waffles are an awesome thing. You got the savory.
I know you all are, you know, especially with a lot of the vegan community on, but there's a place in Chicago that's called Batters and Berries.
Oh my gosh.
And they probably make the best breakfast I've ever had in my life. And it's a chicken and waffle, but they don't use syrup. So the chef instructions are like, take the waffle and the chicken, dip it in the hot sauce, and swipe the bourbon butter. It's like it's amazing. Like,
I'm making it.
Man.
I'm making a vegan version. I'm doing it.
There you go.
And drizzle that over the pound cake while you're at it.
Oh man.
But I have heard of that place. I used to live in Chicago, so all of my friends from the Midwest swear by. So yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing. It is.
I mean, I would never probably wait 2 hours to eat any place, but we did it. Like, it's worth the wait. It was. I love it.
I love it. I love everybody's guilty pleasures, especially Tia's with her reality shows. I love that. Everybody's making me hungry and ready to binge watch my favorite shows too. One of the things that I really was excited about bringing all of you on to, especially because we're all in different industries, and we celebrate a lot of different industries, is to raise awareness and just like as far as diversifying the industries that we're involved in, being ambassadors in, whether it's the bourbon, the vegan, the wine, the cycling. What do you see in all of you? How would you like to see each of your industries grow? What would you like to see enhanced? And how would you like to see us, people that are on the outside, celebrating with you, acknowledge that and really create that voice, that amplify that voice with you, be behind you, and support you. So let's start with Jamaica. Start with Jamaica.
Actually, I'm going to defer to Peggy because I'm interested to hear what she has to say.
Okay, let's start with Peggy. Let's go with Peggy.
Access. We need, it needs to be easier for me to find fresh bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be easier to find, Black winemakers. I mean, you don't even understand what I have to go through. If I see that Dwayne Wade has a wine, or Kevin Hart, or even John Legend. Now, these are people with lots of money, but to be able to find and to give access and then to give the shelf space.
Absolutely. Just like
that's what I would like to see.
Just like Jenny Dawn. Just like Jenny Dawn.
Exactly.
Having the resources to provide you that, hey, this is where this is at. This is available. And I think our distribution, if you're talking about distribution all overall, to me, when you have buyers or reps, you have all these different people in the mix, you could have them go, okay, this is what we need to see more of on the shelf. We got this. We have the shelf space to do it. So why can't we provide that? So I think it's exactly celebrating that and really bringing that voice to that, and being an advocate for that. Matt, as far as even the cycling world, how would you like to see more diversity in that, the more equality, more inclusion into that, bringing more community into the cycling world?
Sure, absolutely. So for us, it's a lot about the programs, honestly, in my personal opinion. If you guys aren't familiar with cycling as a whole, it's a predominantly white male sport. Even if you look at things like the Tour de France, which is probably the most televised cycling event of the year, you may see literally a handful of individuals who look like us, right? Like the African American community. So it's not highly represented, but a lot of that starts on the student level. So there are actually like youth cycling leagues, and that's a place where I would really like to see a lot more attention being thrown at some of these the low-income housing communities, right? So some of your neighborhood high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, I don't see why they can't have cycling teams. We have golf teams, golf clubs, we have football, basketball, baseball, everything that's normally, naturally televised. And I think cycling is one of those sports, like we mentioned earlier, not only does wonders for us physically, low impact on our joints, but mentally, it really puts a lot of people in such a clear and centered space. So that's one thing that I'm a huge advocate for cycling at the student level. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see more diversity, more inclusion.
Now, is that something you're working with too, and within your own community too, as far as accessing that for kids, like students, bringing them up at a younger age, giving them the resources that, hey, this is here. You can get into bikes. You can do this. You can.
We got to keep a little bit of it on the hush, but I absolutely am. That's so actually the middle school that I attended, that I graduated from, I'm actually working on a pilot project there. So we're going to start with one school, start a cycling team that's going to have about 8 riders.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we'll be pushing that throughout the entire county. And the goal is really to have that spread throughout the entire DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And hopefully we can get it on a national level. So that's definitely something I'm working with the Parks and Rec Advisory Board here in Maryland.
That's great. I love hearing that, because it all goes to the youth. We talk about the future, how we pay it forward, what we do to advocate for the future. And I think that's so important. And that is awesome. Hats off to you, Matt. I really appreciate that. What about you, Sean and Tia? How would you like, especially with the bourbon industry, how would you like to see that diversify? In words.
we've been doing a lot of talking around just this space because, and I don't know if everybody knows or the people watching that we're the first African Americans to make bourbon in the state of Kentucky since slavery. So before we did that, like nobody black had made bourbon in the state of Kentucky that was not enslaved. And previous to, the Civil War, all bourbon or most bourbon was made by enslaved people because that was a job on a plantation. And so until we did that, we were recognized by the state of Kentucky, or the Kentucky State Senate, for doing that. We didn't know that was a thing going into it. We didn't know that until they were like, yeah, nobody black has made bourbon in the state of Kentucky, since slavery. So, part of that is just, a lot of it is just getting out there and doing it. Like I said, we didn't go into it knowing that, but just gotta, like, Matt's doing, or just making waves, getting out there and just, trying to do something. But then the other piece of it is just, trying to get people to support, and making sure that, we educate people and we don't have vast amounts of money, especially bourbon's owned by big companies. I mean, like multi-billion-dollar companies.
Mm-hmm.
And so to, expand your reach or to get out there. So we just try to educate people on that, just as wherever you could go, just request the product or ask for the product, or, that's the ideal way to help the industry. And then we've done a lot or will be doing a lot more with educating young people on the amount of jobs in Kentucky. It's a $9 billion industry. Bourbon is a $9 billion industry. So from chemists to warehouse operators to just all marketing directors, there's a ton of employment opportunities and job opportunities in the industry. And just trying to do it like that, where we educate, the young people or, kids to try to get into the industry, and then they can make their own way or find their way around it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jamaica, what about you?
I would say, kind of to piggyback off of what everybody's been talking about, it's about exposure, education, and access, right? And I think that is across the board, and regardless of what industry you're in. Specifically for the vegan community, it's more of not educating those who are already in it, but getting everyone else to know. I just want everything to be a little bit more mainstream, in the sense that when I tell people that I'm vegan, they don't look at me like I have 4 heads, and that they're like, oh, wow, you come off as really normal. I'm like, it's amazing, right? So you would be surprised at the questions, but it's just a thing about, particularly Black food culture in general. I just think that it needs to be shown on a larger scale, that it's not just soul food. It's not just Southern. It's not just whatever, just showing like the background of, culinary arts in the Black community and how it has impacted literally the entire world. So it's just, I can get on my soapbox, because it's not just about my particular industry. What I'd like to see changed, I'd like to see Black history not seen as Black history. Black history is American history. Black history is world history. It needs to be taught from the get-go to everybody, not just, because it's, critical race theory. We can get into all of these things, all of the things, but to keep it cute right now, I think education, exposure, and access is just super important across the board.
Yeah. And I think go ahead, Sean.
I was going to just piggyback on that. One of the things that I was going to mention, it's just education is key, and not just, we have this saying, me and my brother say it all the time. We say, sense is not all that common. So people say some stuff is just common sense, but sometimes it's just not all that common. So like a lot of it is educating people that, we put out a brand, we're African American, we put a brand out, a bourbon brand out, but it's not just for Black people. Like
it's for everyone. Right.
Like bourbon, like everybody can. And so like it's like educating people. Like sometimes I feel like that's done to us. Whereas like nobody like in a larger bourbon industry, they put out a bourbon, they say, oh, it's just for white people. Like nobody does.
Right, yeah.
Like we try to educate people that, no, our marketing strategy, we created a very good product, for people to enjoy, whoever that is. And so just the education along those lines, and not, getting, so rooted in, I guess, I don't know, some type of thought process that's not good.
I think it goes back to the stereotype too, that Black folks do certain things, right? So when you step outside of that stereotypical box, people, it's like they lose their minds. They're like, oh my goodness, you're so articulate. You know how to do these things. You know how to do this. And that's where that barrier is, because people are so astounded when they shouldn't be. Because if they knew the history and were educated, they would know that we've been doing this stuff
for a long time.
We all share the same air. We could have the same bourbon, the same road. It's a beautiful thing,
Yeah, and I think the one thing for us, I think for one thing for me too, I think what I kind of hold myself accountable or responsible for is to provide that content. A lot of times when we are, social media is such a big thing. We rely on social media for a lot of things, to get a lot of our resources. And again, going back to all three of you, Peggy had to go because she was in and out of meetings, but it was great to have Peggy on. And I hope all of you can follow her and support her. I think it's just one of those, she's just an amazing person. I was just glad to have her on, even for the few minutes that she joined us. But I think that, again, the content that you provide is the same thing. It's like, it's not this narrative is, I'm a Black person providing this. It's just, I'm providing this content. And we need to, us as individuals on the other end has to say, we need to make sure we provide this content and get it out there. Because the more of us that we do that, the more it's gonna be normal. But the problem is with it not being normal, there's not enough of us going, hey, I'm gonna have Sean and Tia out there. I'm gonna have Jamaica out here. I'm gonna have Matt out here. That is the thing. Is and you guys are laughing because I messed up the name again. I see.
I was running 2, 3. Jamaica.
And I can see the name. I have the name on here on purpose, and that is just my dad break. Just forget about it. I just forget about it. But
you were making some really good points, though. I was feeling you. I heard it.
But I think that's important, though. I think we as individuals, when we are on as ambassadors, we have to provide this content. It has got to be natural content, and it's got to be content that we're providing for everybody. So it would seem just like what you said, is it shouldn't be that is a discovery that, oh, these people are doing these things now. You guys are always doing it. This has always been happening. We just don't have enough people creating the content to see it. And it's us responsibility. It's our responsibility to go. I feel like for me, it's like, hey man, this is what I'm about. I'm creating a space. I'm creating a voice so everybody can share this. This is important. If we all did this, then it would just start getting more into that normal progression. Normalizing it. But until we do that, and I say that all the time, I'm like, you stand for what? And I'm going to just say this bluntly because I see a lot of people say, oh, I stand for this. But how are you practicing that? What is in your content? Are you practicing that content for everyone? Are you practicing it for a certain identity or a certain circle? Because until we do that, then we're not going to be able to move. And that's the one reason why I loved having you all on, because you all are doing something special. So people should be talking about your bourbon. People should be talking about what you bring to the vegan world. People should be talking about your YouTube channel more and more and going, hey, this guy knows his cycling stuff. He's bringing out all this great content. And this is where I could go to to get all these hot tips and learn the latest. But instead, it's like dragging. We're constantly having to drag, and I think that was, for me, it was an important question, because I think for us, we need to know how we can continue to keep that moving, and I want to keep that moving for all of you. So I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if I just went on a rant.
It was a good rant, though. It was a good rant. You know, it's an equity conversation, right?
Yes,
So it's about
yeah,
equity.
yeah.
It's about
It
making
is.
sure things are, you know, you give folks a platform. And as long as the platform is across the board, and you make a concerted effort to diversify, and just because we all have a tendency to stay within our own bubbles, right?
Right.
And so if your bubble isn't diverse, then guess what? Your content isn't going to be diverse. So
There
you
you
have
go.
to make the concerted effort to reach out, and and that just doesn't mean race, right? That's sexual orientation. That's everything. That's
right.
Everything. So
right. And I like I said, you know, bringing back to the future, what we're holding ourselves accountable for our future generations, how they're going to see everything. It's up to us right now to provide that, so they learn. You know, I always learn as a parent. I never learned so much than when I became a parent, and I'm going, man, I have the responsibility to teach this kid, you know, the colors of life, and show him all these different things, these beautiful things. So yeah, it's, again, I'm ranting on. Jamaica. I got it. I got it. Yeah, I got it. I got it. Yes.
You win the prize today. You did well. You did well.
So I know I asked you all on for about an hour. We went over a little bit, and I just really appreciate that. I just want to let everybody know I'm going to go ahead and share. Hopefully, I won't mess this up. A few slides as we are starting to wind down this this awesome show. But here's Matt and one of his partners hanging out, riding bikes, and like I said, you can go to his YouTube channel, check out his YouTube channel, check out his IG. He does a lot of great things. He has a lot of informal things. And right now, one of the things, I don't know if I could do this, Matt, but I know you are getting ready to hire for your shop and you're accepting applications, right? So here's some information. If you want to work with Matt, I would love to work with you. I'm so sad that I'm here in the Pacific Northwest. But here is some information. Matt is accepting applications for assistant store manager, bicycle technician, head cashier, stock and inventory specialist. This is awesome. And it's so great to see. And I know you didn't want to disclose too much, but you're working with communities. You're going to start doing that as a pilot project. And I really dig that. Fresh bourbon. Again, you can't say enough about their styling bottle. I love the bourbon itself. And one thing that we just got to, celebrate too is I just saw that they're celebrating Fresh Bourbon Day. So I saw that is so, I was so stoked to see that. I was like, I got to have a picture of that right next to my bourbon. And so that is some awesome stuff to hear with Sean and Tia. And with Peggy, here's some of her pairings with Girl Scout cookies. She does a Malbec and a Madeira with s'mores, sparkling rosé, Chardonnay. She did a holiday cookie wine pairing that I just thought was just unbelievable. And now we are going to go to Jamaica. Jamaica, I just said it right. And she does a few things like the coffee talk. She does a check-in. She said she's going to start trying to get it more on a regular basis. But you got to check her out on her IG as well. And she provides loads of amazing content, delicious content, vegan dishes, a vegan lifestyle under the Silas Vegan. I cannot say enough. And I'm so sad that we couldn't have Jennifer McDonald on from Jenny Dawn Sellers. She was doing a Valentine's Day event, which is at 6 p.m. And she does a lot of great things. She also does some wine education. at her winery, which she actually hosts herself, which is really cool. And like I said, it is really awesome to see that she got the state of Kansas a recognition for being the first Black woman to have a winery in Wichita, Kansas. And she does some amazing work. Her wines are absolutely delicious and fruit-based. And I cannot say enough about these two products. If I had tools that Matt could provide and some dishes from Jamaica to provide some vegan dishes, I would promote that as well. Thank you all again for your time, sharing your content. If you don't follow them, you can see their IGs are attached to their names down below. Please follow us. We are a supportive community. We are trying to continue to create community, build inclusion, and diversify all industries and all entities. I think it's important for us to continue to that work and be a voice. We got to be a positive voice, and like creating that positive content for everyone. So, any last words from any of you? You want to go down? Let's start with Jamaica. Go ahead.
Just wanted to say it's been a pleasure. I always enjoy having good conversations with other great people, and just like really digging deep and getting past the surface. So definitely appreciate that. Yes, everybody come follow. In addition to the Stylish Vegan, I am also a full-time PR executive. So I own JSW Media Group, which is a PR firm, and I rep not just vegans. So let me know if y'all need something. Hit me up.
There you go. Shout it to you. Any last words?
Yeah, we just want to say thank you. We appreciate the opportunity. We've really enjoyed the conversation, learned about each of you, all the awesome work that you guys do. And we will definitely support you guys. And we ask, please follow @Fresh Bourbon on all social media platforms to hear about what's coming up. We'll be opening our tasting room very soon. That's going to offer some really great tasting experiences and have a little bling to go with it. So please come out and see us and follow us on social media.
Absolutely. Matt.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely a great time. I really appreciate the opportunity meeting everyone. I feel like now I've got a couple of travel destinations. So I'm coming to North Carolina and Kentucky pretty soon. But no, seriously, this has been awesome. Just some upcoming things for us. Like we mentioned, we're starting our first brick and mortar. So that also goes to show just, more people coming into the space, more diversity in terms of ownership of bike shops and things like that. So we're really excited. We're looking at the this spring, 2022, the end of April, May timeframe. So I'll definitely make sure to give you guys a shout whenever that happens, because the grand opening should be a televised event.
Awesome. And just to let you know, just another announcement. Matt and I had a conversation. He's going to be helping us out. We're going to be partnering with Matt and his cycling shop, doing reels, showcasing his reels for some hot tips. So thank you, Matt, for providing that. You could always follow Matt and Sean and Tia at Fresh Bourbon and Jamaica at Stylish Vegan. Man, it was
close. It was close this time.
Man, I was just like, I always just blow it. But thank you all again for your time. Thank you for all what you do, sharing the world. You're making the world a better place with what you do, with the content you provide. Keep on kicking ass out there. I love all of you. We will all do what we can to support you. So thank you all again. Until next time, everyone, stay well, stay safe. And remember, here at Breaking Bread, there's always room for you at the table. All right, guys.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
All right.
Bye. Wonderful to meet you guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
That was cool.
That was a great show. Hold on. We go.